Hi, everyone. My name is Ginger Dahliwal. I'm one of the co-founders of Upflex. Um, Upflex was born about 3 years ago as we were looking at the data in terms of how companies were moving into a more flexible environment. Let me see. Sorry, it's moving faster than I want it to. So about 4 years ago, we started looking at the data in terms of talent retention, talent recruitment, how companies are going to operate in a new work sort of, we saw the trend where companies were moving towards a more distributed work environment where they needed to hire talent around the world because the expertise was changing in order to innovate and grow as business. And obviously COVID has accelerated that, and now everyone is 100% remote. And as companies come out of COVID, it's become clear that the adoption of sort of flexible working is going to be the standard, right? And companies, large companies are moving in that direction. And everyone today has talked about that. Companies have decided to scale down their corporate headquarters. They're now looking to build out satellite offices that can then be more flexible. To move into this new kind of more flexible real estate portfolio requires new technology and access that doesn't exist today. And that's essentially what we do at Upflex. What we do is we aggregate flexible operators around the world, and we put it into one single platform to enable companies then to offer access to spaces close to where people live or travel for work. We have over 5,000 workspaces globally. We're in 75 countries, and we continually add locations onto the network based on the demands of companies. We know that distributed work is great, flexibility is great. Everyone's talked about that. But there is this element of loneliness that, Nitish and everyone's talking about. So there is a need for companies to offer spaces for people to come together, but it doesn't necessarily need to be a corporate headquarters where they have to travel an hour and a half to get to on a regular basis. And so that was the genesis of Upflex. How do we, especially as, our work days get extended, we have teams that we're working with around the world. Every company today has a global element to them, no matter how big or small they are. How do we kind of give back time to people and provide access points to really exciting spaces where people can access whenever they want on demand? But to enable this, if companies wanted to provide a flexible real estate portfolio to their employees, there's a lot of barriers to entry that we've tried to kind of reduce. One is that we handle all the relationships with all the operators. So within our platform, you can get WeWork, you can get Premier, you can get all the top operators. We've also created the system so that we become the clearinghouse. So instead of a company having to pay all these individual operators, they pay Upflex. We then go out and pay all the operators. So there's only one invoice every month that the company has to pay. And they sign one agreement. So we've taken all the sort of friction points of offering flexible workspaces to employees out of the equation, and we've simplified the process for companies to adopt this way of working. What we offer in our product, we have a few different product offerings now. We offer our global network, which is desks, private office, meeting rooms, anywhere in the world. And then we offer this second product, what we call Hub and Spoke. Essentially what Hub and Spoke is that in some regions, you have clusters of employees. Say, for example, you're in Philadelphia. You might have 20 employees or 30 employees in the Philadelphia area. And what we help you do is we help you build out a hub that's dedicated. Instead of getting an office for 30 people, you get an office for 10, and you use the Upflex booking mechanism to track and ensure that there's availability in those spaces when people need it. You know, a lot of companies that we speak to today, they're like, you know, I have a Regis membership for my employee. I have a Regis office, I have a WeWork office, and I have all these operators, but I don't know what the utilization is. And so they may be paying for an office with 20 seats, but only 2 people are coming through. And so there's opportunities for cost savings there. So with our hub and spoke solution, we allow you to really, based on data driven approach, really optimize your current sort of dedicated office spaces. And our third product that we're launching is we wanted to create a unified booking system that not only takes our global network, the hub and spoke, but your own corporate offices onto the platform. So as an employee, I only have to have one app that sits in my pocket that allows me access to every single workspace need I want, whether it's my corporate offices, something on the network, or a dedicated satellite office close to home. All of that is on a single platform. I can book it on the app. And then on the management side, you know, as a head of real estate or HR, I can start collecting the data in terms of understanding how people are interacting, what spaces they're using. It can inform better decisions for management in terms of cost savings, or changing the way that space is allocated within their own corporate offices to cater to the interactions that people are having. So our platform is, there's 3 different sides to our platform. We have a comprehensive management dashboard, where as a company, I can set up, especially for large companies, what we've noticed is that they have different cost centers, and those cost centers have different people associated, and then they want to build back their real estate. So we've created the platform so that you can start collecting that data. You can build out the cost structure within the platform so you can track cost versus usage and utilization more efficiently. And you also have policies where you can set up flexibility policies for your employees. So you can say, you know, certain employees, because they're part of the sales team, get X number of day passes or limited access to the network to book whatever they want. And so that, and then, you know, people maybe on the product side, they don't travel as much. Let's give them a different, they get 5-day passes or 10-day passes per month to access anything in the network. So there's a lot of controls built into the system so that as your team, you're giving choice to your people to access spaces that they want, but you're still able to maintain the budget constraints that you have from finance. The other feature that we've built into the platform is that onboarding and offboarding employees is very cumbersome, especially for large organizations. So we have Active Directory, single sign-in capability. So getting your company onto the Upflex platform is really straightforward. It works seamlessly within your current organizational structure. And as you bring on new employees, they get subscribe to the Upflex program, and then they're able to download the app and use it with their existing credentials that they use with any other systems within the organization. And then on the employee side, we have an app that the employee gets. This app can be co-branded or white labeled, so it looks and feels like the company. So for example, you know, Bank of London, we can make the app look and feel like your organization. So there's a connection there. When the employee opens it up, it's similar to an Uber experience. It shows whatever is closest to you on the network. And the other thing that we've built into the platform is this concept of collaboration. So I can open the app and I can see where my colleagues are working today. And again, as part of this whole movement towards making sure mental health and we connect people and there's engagement, especially in a distributed work environment, you know, we kind of built those features where we enable people to connect and work together really seamlessly on the platform. And we've seen an uptick in people booking. We get bookings of people, 5 team members booking the same space on the same day. And the next evolution of this is, can we actually track their experience about their work? Employees work for people. They don't necessarily work for the company. And is there a higher retention rate? Because we're seeing these patterns and booking patterns where people are working, people who are working in teams, are they more engaged with their work versus people who are booking on their own? Like, can we start building some really interesting analytics off of that will inform HR decisions as well as real estate decisions in the future? We have geofencing built into the platform. So as you enter into any of our spaces, it automatically checks you in, and then you're ready to work. We do have places within the app where, as a company, I can push certain surveys to the employees. So if you wanted to track like engagement, say, for example, how did you feel about work today? You can start collecting that type of data back. And we can also track information about the actual experience of the location. And then we have really rich reporting at various levels. So if you wanted to see utilization against the plan that you purchased, you want to see booking patterns at the individual level, what's the most common day booked, the frequency of the booking, what top locations are people booking? Can I take that top location and convert it into a dedicated hub instead of on demand, because there's cost savings there? So there's a lot of sort of really rich data that can be shared on the platform and help companies, optimize their real estate decisions based off that. Data privacy and data is a huge element that we built into the platform, especially with GDPR and as CCPA in the US, in California. So we have a data privacy officer on our staff. We are in the process of getting our GDPR certification so that we can have a truly global company that takes data and privacy into every aspect of what we do in our product. This is just an overview of what our network looks like today in North America. We have over 2,000 locations. We're growing our coverage. Typically what happens, we consider ourselves we're a global company, but local coverage, right? So when we onboard a company, we have a dedicated workspace coordinator that works with every single employee to ensure that they have coverage where they need it. So typically what we find is, employees typically need coverage close to where they live, near their home, where they travel, and where their aging parent may live. They may need access to on-demand space when they're visiting their mom and dad because they have aging parents and they need coverage there. Or in the US, in New York City, most people go to the Hamptons during the summer holidays, so they want coverage closer to where they are in the summer. So we have a dedicated workspace coordinator that facilitates all that and removes all that barrier to the company, because supporting a distributed workforce with a distributed real estate portfolio can be very complex. And we've just kind of streamlined that where we handle all of those types of needs. Typical features that you get at our spaces, desks, chairs, what you would normally find in an office, high security, high-speed Wi-Fi, parking, bike racks. There's a lot of, one of the things that we do with our spaces, especially when you're booking on our system, is we try to give the user a lot of information about the space, similar to what you would find in Airbnb. So you can find information about the mood and the environment, like is it a high energy space versus, a space that you're looking to do more you need something that's quieter. So you have different choices as an employee of the type of space that you want to go to based on the type of work that you want to achieve that day. And we're taking that data and our next evolution of our product is really building out an AI-driven workplace bot that will help you pick the right space for the right work that you're going to do, so that you can get the right result in terms of the what you're trying to achieve that day for work. One of the things that we've also implemented, especially now with COVID, and I think this is something that's long-term, is we started working with an infectious disease specialist, and we created protocols that our operators in our spaces need to follow in terms of safe spaces. And we launched this, and operators that do meet this standard get a seal. And so when you open the app and you look at all our space partners, you can filter for safe spaces, and you're ready. You can select it and book it, and you're ready to go. The booking experience is really straightforward. Employee opens the app, they search for a space. They may book a space that their team is currently working at. And once they arrive at the location, they're greeted. All our spaces usually have a front desk person that will greet them and then guide them to the desk that they'll be working at for the day. They sit down, they check in, and they get the Wi-Fi information through the app, and they're ready to start working. And if they need additional support, we have 24-hour, 7 days a week support. For example, if you wanted to book a meeting room for 10 people and you want catering services, all of that sort of functionality is built into the platform. But for example, if you wanted, the catering to be 5% vegan and 10%, whatever customization you want on your catering, you can ask for it through our chat support, and we make that happen for you. How do you get started as a company? It's pretty straightforward. We sell memberships in increments. So as a company, you can join Upflex and provide unlimited access to your employees to book any desk space on our network globally. And that is $2.99 a month, which is so much cheaper than what companies normally pay for a dedicated desk at their HQ. Or you can buy increments. So you can say, I can buy a plan for 5-day passes for every employee in my company, and you can adjust and optimize the plan based on the usage and that you're seeing. So you can upgrade or reduce the number of day passes. And what's nice is that a lot of companies are using Upflex as a way to learn about the coming back to work. Companies really don't know what individuals are looking to do post-COVID when they get their vaccination. And Upflex is a great way to get started and offer this as an opportunity. I know, Greg, you talked about the loneliness of some of your employees. We've found companies have used Upflex for a number of reasons. One is precisely that they're individuals that are living alone and they need a more structured environment. Others have used Upflex because the employees are working very, very long hours and they haven't been able to separate work from home. And so they want to give them a structured place to go so that they can have that separation. The others is that there's lots of young employees that live in very crowded environments, and they just, especially in New York, 3 people sharing a 2-bedroom apartment. Everyone's on Zoom calls, and they need access to spaces so that they're not talking over each other. So there's a variety of reasons why people are using Upflex and finding real value from it, and it's really quick to get started. That is it. And we have beautiful spaces all around the world, and we're adding spaces onto the network all the time. One of the questions that we often get from our clients that we work with, which are corporates, is can we add our access inventory onto your network as well? And we're looking at supporting that in the future. So for example, Schneider Electric has, thousands of square foot of underutilized inventory, and they want to add it onto our network to enable others to use it. And so we're looking to enable that kind of functionality in the future. That's it. Thanks.